All right. Hello and welcome everyone to another of the builds refreshes for 2022. Today we get to talk about GAUSS. GAUSS is an extremely fun Warframe that feels very, very fast and is just another really excellent weapons platform that we have available to us. He's really just another flavor of your, Gara or Wukong type Warframe where he's got some interesting mechanics that are kind of his own, but mostly he is using himself as a weapons platform, and then he has some flavored abilities to go along with that. For that, the GAUSS build is a little weird, and it can be built a few different ways. First and foremost, he's about going fast, so I put Sprint Boost and Rush on him. That's just the way it is. You got to go as fast as is reasonable and also still, being pretty effective. So I, of course, have to go with these two. With that, the GAUSS effectiveness is pretty much entirely based on duration, with all of the buffs, the fire rate, attack speed, reload speed, holster speed, all that business coming directly from his duration. So, unlike you might think, you don't build GAUSS strength usually. That has changed recently, where you can definitely build him strength and see a lot of success. But I don't think that build is really necessary, but we will talk about it in a moment. Basically, you're going to be running around with Mach Rush. You're going to be negating pretty much all damage with kinetic plating. This is only effective against certain damage types, but the certain damage types that it is effective against are the ones that are by far the most prevalent in the entire game, and the only thing you might run into is getting hit with Toxin every now and then, and we have a little bit to go against that in this build. I am subsuming Fire Blast on here, and his 3 does already by default strip armor, but Fire Blast is purely for just the absolute convenience of it. If there's an enemy that happens to need some armor stripping on them, which does not almost ever come up, I can slap 3 a couple times super fast and then they have hilariously less armor. That is really the long and the short of why I'm using this. GAUSS's 3 normally is very good. You do not have to subsume anything here, but I think Fire Blast is nice and convenient for a nice comfortable build. Speaking of a nice comfortable build, I am using Adaptation, Primed Flow, and Naira's Hatred. So Naira's Hatred is 15% ability duration, which is the primary stat that GAUSS wants. That is going to give us more buffs. And it is a nice 150% health. That 150% health forms a nice buffer for if we do get hit with any toxin procs or anything like that, making us just a little bit more survivable in the, most negative situation for GAUSS possible. Other than that, we have an absolute ton of duration with Narrow-Minded, Prime Continuity, Constitution, and Augur Message. We have just a little bit of range, getting just a little bit of range back, just so our Fire Blast has about a 20-meter range, which is more than sufficient for ripping off any armor that's going to matter to us, even if it needs to be ripped off of a group. And then Prime Flow is just to hold copious amounts of energy, which is not usually necessary, but if there's a bunch of energy leeches around, that 638 energy is going to be held up for quite some time. So if you're in a situation where you need to recast kinetic plating and recast Redline, which is, only 150 energy, you can do that really quickly. And because you want to spam cast Mach Rush most of the time, that energy buffer can be helpful just in those energy drain situations. In terms of arcanes, I will say there's pretty much nothing that GAUSS needs. Arcane Aegis is mega overkill here. This could be Pistolier or any number of other different very fun arcanes that are just parts of a build on their own. And Arcane Energize is generically good, but completely unnecessary because damage you take while you're in kinetic plating, which should be 100% of your time as GAUSS, is going to be giving you some energy conversion to give you energy back anyway, so the energy gain off Energize is not super important. But basically, you are going to pump yourself up to 250% fire rate or a huge amount more attack speed, and you have a huge amount of reload speed. So weapons that generally have very long reloads that's the big negative for those weapons, such as say the Trumna, or especially beam type weapons that have a recharging magazine, because this will greatly speed those up. You just can use those weapons willy-nilly, and it's like they didn't even need to reload. The Trumna reloads extremely quickly under this, and all that stuff. And then the holster speed, it's there, but it doesn't really matter, as usually you will default to one primary thing. The thing that it is nice for is if you decide to bring a big slow weapon that is more single shot, even though it's going to fire much, much faster, you might want to switch to a weapon that's anti-nullifier at some points, and it is okay for that. So basically, we are going to feel like we're going very, very fast, because that is what GAUSS kind of specializes in, is the feeling of going fast. Not necessarily being the fastest as Warframes like Titania and Nova will generally outspeed him, but it is super, super fun to play, and, you know, just running around being invincible, doing the shoot with whatever your favorite weapon is, and making it way more powerful than it would regularly be is a really good time. So we're gonna absolutely joke on these enemies real quick. You activate your red line, use your 1 to build up your meter, or just run around. And then when that is built up to 100%, you get 100% damage reduction on those relevant damage types and an even larger buff that is static. Normally, your 2 taking damage will drain this meter, as we can kind of see here. But you can just refill it very quickly by just, you know, pressing 1. And because of the efficiency of the situation of your 2 giving you back that 5%, it is not a big deal at all. And you can see how fast the recharge is on the Vibonico here, which is a very, very good weapon for GAUSS and hugely ammo intensive in order to fire very rapidly. And while this weapon can more than competently clear these enemies, it is one of the weapons that I think receives the biggest boost from being applied to GAUSS, because it kind of gives the weapon all of the things it doesn't normally have, like this fire rate, which is just absolutely devastating. But yeah, GAUSS is he's just a really, you know, really fun, really good weapons platform. Hasn't changed super a lot. The other build I do want to mention, though, that I don't think is necessary and is going to be a lot better on other Warframes, is a build utilizing thermal transfer. This is a brand new augment, and this is for yourself and allies in range, which could be important in the future. You get 75% bonus elemental damage for 30 seconds, and that is on his Thermal Sunder skill. This can be applied to any other Warframe, so any other Warframe can use this ability. That 75% extra damage is from both sides of this ability. So if we look at it really quick in the top right, you can see if I tap it once, I get heat, and if I hold it, I get cold. So that adds up to a grand total of 150% additional elemental damage, which is hugely impactful. That is affected by strength, so it can very easily go up to like the 500% elemental damage range. And because it is cold and heat, this properly combines into weapons where you are using viral and heat, of course the most popular damage types, I would say, in my opinion, and also usually the most effective, to give you way more viral damage and way more heat damage, because the cold will combine into viral as you'd expect, and the heat will just go into more heat, keeping you at also usually the same balance between your viral damage amount and your heat damage amount, so it won't really mess with your ratios too much. If anything, it will in a lot of cases probably just make them better, and you can of course choose to just go the heat route if you need that waiting for whatever reason. So yeah, that is also a really, really good thing to be able to do, but I just don't think GAUSS really needs that additional damage. Having the hilariously high fire rate and the super fast reload and all that stuff usually is more than enough by itself, but it's an interesting option that you can build into and will work very, very well, because this is just a lot of damage to add, and that's great. So yeah, just a lot of different options. The new augment was very good for him and very good for a lot of other Warframes, and yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's what GAUSS is up to. Of course, we have the Steel Path run. It was not hard at all, as you might imagine, because we were using GAUSS. So enjoy that, and I will see you tomorrow.
I want you to jump like you trying to get stuck in the air. If you feeling so late and don't care. Shorty beating her face in the mirror, up in the air. I want you to jump.
Scans show when you are harvesting Kuba nearby. Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuba catalysts. Predictable. As expected, Grenier have shut down environmental systems, sending modified life support capsules. Use these to sustain your environment or attach to the catalysts to begin harvesting. Life support has arrived. Has just made their first discovery. Keep up the good work. When you are ready, go to extraction. operative just found. They could not do this without you.
Hey, Dreamer. We are up and ready to party.